Good morning, YouTube. Today we're going to talk about why buying cars at auction sucks.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
If you're new to the channel, my name is Dan, and this is our dealership, NG Supercars, and we buy and sell a lot of cars, and we have kind of made it a point to no longer buy almost anything at auction except in rare circumstances, and I'm going to tell you all about that. But first, do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and check out normalguysupercar.com and ngsupercars.com, our websites. All right, got that out of the way. Let's talk about it. This is inspired because I just got a phone call from a guy who's a watcher of the channel, and oh man, it sounds like they're in a bad situation. So let's talk about that first, talk about his story, and then I'm going to tell you some stories about things that have gone wrong for us. So let's sit down and have a chat. So just a few minutes ago, I got a phone call from a guy who is a fan of the channel, and he owns a dealership. And first of all, I'm going to make a quick disclaimer. The dealership wholesale auctions are 50 times worse than the public auctions. So if you're a dealer and you're trying to buy exotic cars at the wholesale auctions, I just wouldn't, period. For consumers, buying at retail auctions, Cars and Bids, Bring a Trailer, even maybe eBay, although almost no one runs actual auctions on eBay anymore. But those platforms, it's not quite as bad. So anyway, that out of the way. This guy, he's got a dealership. They thought they would try doing a supercar. They bought one at auction. And the problem with the auctions is that the vast majority of exotic cars sold at auction are sold red light, which means it's as is. You have no recourse if the car shows up and it's not as expected. It's buyer beware. And let's be real, most of the time if you're buying exotics, it's not local. It's infrequent when you can actually go to the auction and see the car prior to it hitting the block. That's one of the biggest challenges. Now, if you happen to live in one of the few areas that sells a lot of exotics at the wholesale auction, and you can actually go check it out in person and actually go look it over and drive it or inspect it or whatever, plug in your scanner to it, that sort of stuff, okay, maybe it might be worth buying if it's super cheap. Anyway, so this guy calls me up and says, hey, we bought this Ferrari F430 at auction. And it arrives and they unload it from the truck, throw it in his lot and say, guess what? Yeah, it doesn't go at all. It starts. The engine starts. It does not move under its own power. They had no idea. This was not disclosed anywhere. He also says that it did have a disclosure that it had prior paint work. Well, he said it looks like someone put paint on it with a paintbrush. Like it's that bad. I'm like, oh man. So he was asking me if I can help him fix it. And I'm like, I can't really remote troubleshoot. By the way, we don't do remote troubleshooting. It's just, no. So don't ask us. We won't give you tips over the phone or email of how to fix something because we don't have all the data. We're not there physically. We can't see certain things. Too many possible variables. But anyway, I digress. So now he's got this 430. It's his. He can't return it. He can't say, oh, they didn't tell me it doesn't run, because that's how these auctions work. He has a non-drivable but engine works 430. It could be anything from the transmission's completely grenaded to the F1 system is completely hosed to it could literally be something as simple as it just is out of F1 fluid. You just don't know. Tons and tons of possibilities, ranging from tens of dollars to many tens of thousands of dollars in repairs. Yeah, that sucks. One of those where if you had been there in person, actually got to see the car and try and drive it, quickly would know, does not work. We ourselves have been screwed multiple times. The one that was the most obvious and we got really lucky on, because it was not sold red light, it was sold green light, which means it is supposed to be guaranteed of a certain quality. So on the wholesale markets, they have a rating, usually what they call a CR, condition report. It's from 0 to 5, 5 meaning the car is perfect. And one of the funny things is that the vast majority of these exotic cars are 5s. And no, they're not. None of them are 5s. Almost nothing we look at is perfect. There's always something wrong with these cars. Always. So every time we see a 5, we just assume it's like a 4.5. We always subtract a half a point from whatever it is. And you learn certain way, like certain companies, the way they rate their cars, you actually learn like, oh, if it's that company, it's way worse than they say, versus this company is fairly honest, so it's maybe slightly worse. But anyway, we get this car. It was a 48. I did a video on this. The car arrives. Mind you, it's perfect. And first of all, it had like no fuel in the fuel tank, so it actually ran out of fuel just getting the car into the garage. It immediately threw a check engine light. It blew out the O2 sensors, probably because it ran out of fuel. And it also had missing paint. Like sections of paint were straight up gone. But it's perfect, right? It's perfect. It had previously been wrapped, and there were still chunks of wrap like tucked into crevices and stuff. None of that was disclosed. And then best of all, it smelled so strongly of weed. I mean, just, you could smell it from a couple feet away. And none of that was disclosed. It was perfect, remember? So we quickly were like, this car is not as described. It needs to go back. We reject the car. We arbitrated it. And it was hilarious because the seller was like, oh, well, we'll work with you. Will you take the car and keep it if we knock off like $2,500 or something like that? No, we won't. It's got to be repainted. This was supposed to be a perfect car, and now we're going to have repaints. That's going to cost many thousands of dollars, a lot more than $2,500, and it stinks. No, take the car back. So we sent the car back to the auction. We got our money back, thank God. And they took that same car. They now said it had paint work, and they lowered the rating to like a 4.5 or 4.8 or something like that. It was still rated really high. And then they sold it red light. And the next dealer bought that car like literally a couple days later. And it was funny because we put a piece of paper saying like, you know, our arbitration information when the car got shipped back to the auction lot. So we had, you know, arbitration, blah, blah, blah. Here's our case number or whatever. And we had our dealership information and contact numbers so that the auction could get in touch with us if they needed to. They didn't even bother taking that piece of paper out of the car. So like literally that car went straight back to the auction and hit the block again. They didn't even touch it. No changes. Because anyone would have opened that door, seen that piece of paper, and thrown it away or taken it out at least. Because why would they leave it in there? Anyway, so it sells at auction again a few days later, goes to the next dealer. They get it. Of course, it was red light. They had no recourse. And the guy got totally screwed. And he calls me up because he found our number on that piece of paper. And he's like, hey, did you guys buy this car already? We're like, yeah, we bought it and arbitrated it and sent it back. Did you buy it? And he's like, yeah. And we had watched the auction when it went back, and we saw what he paid for it, and he still paid pretty close to what we paid, which was still, like, we paid basically assuming this car was perfect. He paid assuming the car was like a 4.8 or whatever. And so he's like, oh my God, am I just totally screwed? And I'm like, yeah, dude, you got screwed. And he had no recourse because it was red light. Nothing he can do. Can't take it back, can't arbitrate it, nothing. Another quick story in why we don't like auctions, even the big public auctions, is recently, apparently there was someone who sold I don't remember what car it was. It was an exotic car of some sort, and it went for way cheaper than it should have. Like, it was one of those where it just sailed underneath the radar. I don't know if it was just a bad time of week or no one was paying attention, but it did not get anywhere near what it should have value-wise. It was way undervalued. So that's the case that the end buyer dreams of. Oh my God, I scored big. This car snuck through the cracks and I got it cheap. Yeah, about that. The seller was just like, nope, I'm not selling it. What recourse do you have? You have none. Like, you can't go force the seller to sell you the car even though you just scored a deal. There's no contract or whatever. Yeah, they can just walk away. So what punishment do they get? Oh no, Cars and Bids or Bring a Trailer banned me. Oh, damn. I guess I can't sell cars on there again. That's it. That's all they got. They don't go to bat for you. They don't have contracts for you. They're literally just facilitating the transaction of information of who's selling the car and who's buying the car. That's it. There's no obligations to buy or sell the car. They, if you're the buyer and you don't go through with it, they keep your credit card charge, like, you know, whatever their fee is. That's it. That's all they can do. When you're selling the car, if you paid any fees, you obviously lose those. But otherwise, they can't make you sell the car. So the whole thing is stupid. Like, I don't get it. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me to pursue these cars. Now, the exceptions are if you can go see the car in person, which, again, we don't buy anything without seeing it anymore. That's just become our hard rule. We don't make exceptions for this rule anymore. Every car we buy, we go see in person before we buy it, no matter what. It is worth the cost every single time. It costs us between $1,000 and $2,000, plane tickets, air, hotels, car rentals, food, whatever, worth it. Because all it takes is that turd that shows up and doesn't move, and it paid for itself for the entire year, like that one time. So that is why we do that, and that is why we offer that as a service, and you can hire us to do that for you. So if you're looking at a car and you want some help with buying it, so we offer that as a service. We do our PPI service. It's part of our all-inclusive buying assistance program, where we will go negotiate for you and go look at the car for you and give you a report of what the car condition is and whether or not we think you should buy the car based on its current value and all that stuff. So reach out to us, send us an email if you need help with that, sales@ngsupercars.com. It's a service that we're really proud of. We've helped hundreds and hundreds of people now. We have inspected literally hundreds and hundreds of cars. And every once in a while, one gets rejected. And that's the one that you're paying for. That's the one that matters. When we go out there and everything's as is, that's great. Awesome. Everything's as expected. The deal goes through. Everyone's happy. Maybe it costs slightly more because we went out and flew out and looked at the car. Okay, so we lost $1,000 and we could have not gone out there. Big deal. But every time we reject a car, that $1,000 pays for itself. So anyway, I would recommend you do the same thing. You should go look at these cars if you're not willing to do something like hire us. But if you are, we absolutely can help you out. Be wary of if you hire these other third parties to go look at the cars. We've seen some of the PPIs from like I don't want to name the companies. Okay, I'm not going to name the companies because we're not going to do that. But let's just say some of the well-known other companies that go inspect these cars, we've seen their reports, and they don't know shit about these cars. It's fine if you're buying a, Toyota Camry or regular whatever sports car that they made 400,000 of. But when you're buying some of these cars and they have very specific things that go wrong with specific models and it changes, you kind of want someone who's seen it before. So anyway, do yourself a favor, be cautious, especially if you're buying from auction. But if you need help with a car, buying or selling, reach out to us. We can help you out. And that is a service we provide and we're really proud of. But that's it for this video. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for watching. Please stay safe out there. Don't get screwed. Don't end up with a car that doesn't run. And we'll be doing a lot of cool car stuff. You're going to want to stay tuned. It's going to be sweet.